Steve Ditko was one of my students. I sent Steve to Stan, and that's when they introduced our star working for Tiny.
Okay, gentleman, Richard. I have to ask, these companies go on and these characters go on and on. I'm not sure if it seemed like the characters were going to go on and on when you were writing them, but what's that, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Romita, particularly you, Mr. Romita, you drew Spider-Man forever, and now your son is drawing Spider-Man in one series or another. I mean, what does that feel like?
Well, first of all, it's amazing because I never thought there was going to be a comic industry past 1957. I tried to talk my son out of the business, tell him you don't want to work 30 hours stretches, you don't want to work weekends, you don't want to work 8 days a week. Don't you see your father is getting old in front of your eyes? He ignored every word I said. I conned him into doing 2 years of college. At least 2 years, hoping that he would stay on for the third and fourth, but he never did. He was champing at the bit. He came into Marvel when he was 18 and started doing sketches for Marie Severin for the British reprints. And then when he was 20, 21, 22, he started working for Marvel. And let me tell you something. If I have any claim to fame or reward, it's for bringing my son into the business. That's probably the best. I also brought one of the best traffic and production managers into the business, which is my wife. My son has made millions for Marvel. My wife saved millions. And I spent most of it.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yes, John.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby and some of the reasons why they left Marvel, and also the impact that they had on you leaving as you followed Steve on Spider-Man and Jack Kirby on the Fantastic Four?
Well, I gathered from what I hear, rumor, because I got there just about the time he left, that Stan and he disagreed on plots, and they disagreed on social content. Steve was a very liberal-minded guy, and Stan was a sort of a moderate, middle-of-the-road guy. Although I think Steve thought Stan was, to the right of Genghis Khan. But I think they just left because they disagreed. They disagreed on plots and characters, and so that was something I still to this day can't believe that Steve Ditko left Spider-Man after 3 great years. To me, that's the only example I've seen of guys without avarice, because he gave up a steady paycheck and possibly a rising paycheck, because he didn't know how far it was going to go. I'm amazed. When I took over Spider-Man, I thought I was going to be on it for a couple of months, then Steve would come back and take over again. I didn't believe he would stay away. I couldn't believe that I never got off Spider-Man after that. As far as you said, Kirby, Jack was like an idol of mine from the minute I saw Captain America #1 when I was a kid. And I went around telling my friends, my God, this is different than all the other comics. At 10 years old, I was able to see it. I think that's the only reason I became an artist. I had that ability to see what the guy did on paper. Kirby was a genius, and the problem with Kirby was that he wanted to write everything. He didn't even care to draw it as much. If he could write them all, he would have written them all. And he was such a creative genius that he would rather create a new costume for a character on page 12 than go back and check what costume he gave him on page 4. And I will tell you, as a guy who had to follow in Jack's wake, and I mean, whatever he started, I used to have to follow. He never designed the back of a costume. He and Gene Colan drove me out. See the gray hair? Those 2 guys, I would get the problem of showing the first back view of some of the characters they created. Never was a detail. You don't know if the belt continues, you know what's on the back. Especially if you had a cloak. God knows if the cloak ever blew up in the wind, you won't know what the hell it was. Jack Kirby used to forget how many buttons on Thor's tunic. And Gil Kane was also contributing to my gray hair, because Gil never finished a pencil in his life for Marvel. He worked for DC, did everything tight as a drum. But for Marvel, he left it to me. So I will tell you that my experience with those guys was secondhand. Generally, I was I think I had the tire tracks on my back as they drove over me.
Did Jack ask you to do the new gods?
Actually, you know, that's one of the greatest moments of my life, when Jack Kirby called up after he left and said, John, he said, I want to write, talking about, apropos what I said, he wanted to write all the new gods, all the what's the fourth world. He wanted to write them all. He said, I need guys like you to do the drawing, so I can have time to write all of them. I said, Jack, I would love to do it. My wife won't let me do it. She said I'd be a Kirby clone after that. So you can't go working for Kirby. And so I bet, but I will always regret that I will never know what would have happened if I would have gone with him. I'd like to think that maybe the fourth world would still be running in DC if I'd have gone with him, but that may be ego. I won't move to that.
Thank you. All right, I think we have time for one or two more. All right, gentlemen over there.
First of all, thank you for all of the pleasure that you've given all of us. My question is to Mr. Romita. Not a lot is written about your romance work. Do you recall who wrote the scripts that you illustrated?
I actually, there were 2 or 3 script writers for DC that I don't remember. But I did 2 series, romance series with Bob Kanigher writing.
Was one of them Mary Robin?
One of them was the airline steward. Oh no, Mary Robin. One of them was a nurse and one was an airline stewardess. Yeah, they were interesting series. I loved it. I loved creating. That was before I got to Marvel for the final stint, and I found myself creating characterization because it was a series, and I would build on it. It was also another great preparation for working with Stan. I loved those 2 series, and I was very proud of them. I'm glad somebody remembers them.
Kanigher wrote those.
Kanigher, and I got to tell you something. I used to change things on Kanigher stuff, and I just figured if he left a panel out, or he had too many balloons in one panel, I would switch the balloon or break up a balloon. So I felt like it was my job, to make it more visual. One day we're in the elevator leaving the DC bullpen, and he said, "I like your work, kid. I like it. Very nice, very nice." I said, "Good. I hope you don't mind that I occasionally do some changes." He says, "What?" He said, "Who the hell do you think you are doing changes on my stuff?" I thought for sure when I got off that elevator that I was never going to get work for DC again. He never mentioned it to the editor.
Thank you. Do you recall the names of any other scripters?
Huh?
Do you recall the names of any other scripters?
And then the scripters, no, I don't remember the other writers. I don't know why.
I'm afraid we're actually out of time, but I want to thank these amazing panelists.